Okay, so this is another example of JavaScript. We're still just talking about the basics. My name is Mitchell Hudson, and this is the third example video. And the first two, we just did some very basic things with JavaScript. In this third example, I'd like to do a little more involved example and also show you how to get started debugging your examples. So oftentimes, you'll create something and then it won't work correctly, and you'll need to figure out what the problems are. I'm starting with Coda, and you could use any text editor. I'm just using Coda, but you could use Dreamweaver or BBEdit, TextMate, whatever. I've started already with the basic HTML document, and I've given this document the title of example 3. The body of the document is empty. There's nothing here. I'm going to use JavaScript to write something into the body of the document. Okay, so if I was to preview my document here, you can see that it shows up with nothing in the body of the document, so there's nothing there. I'm going to go back up to the head tag here, and I'll create a new script tag. So I'll start with script. I'll set the type to text JavaScript. I'm not going to use an external file this time to store the JavaScript. I'm going to write it directly into the head of the document, or into this script tag. So I'll just add a line return there, and I'll put my JavaScript between the opening and closing script tags. Okay? I'll put a comment in here to remind me that this is example 3, and our example is going to be about document.write. Okay? So there's a comment, and let's type in some JavaScript. So in JavaScript, there's a lot of elements in there that are built in, and it's kind of a long story to talk about them all, but one of the important elements that you'll run into is called document. And this word is a special keyword that references your HTML document. And everything in the HTML document can be referenced through this document object keyword. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in document, and you can imagine that this, in JavaScript terms, represents our HTML document. And so if I want to do something, I'm going to write in document dot, okay? And then I can do or access one of the elements inside of document. And one of the things inside of document is a method called write. So I'm going to use the write method, or you could call this a function also. So I'm going to call the write method or function. So I'll say document.write. So the dot here means that write belongs to document, okay? Or it's stored or a part of document, okay? And basically the write method writes something into the body of the tag, or into the body tag of the document, I should say. So in here, I'll put the quotation marks inside write. Okay, I have to have the parentheses here, right? So I'll write in there, and I'm going to write an H1 tag. So there's my H1 tag. I better make that a closing tag, right? And then I'll say, hello JavaScript. Okay? So there's my document.write. Here's what I want to write into the body tag. And we just saw a minute ago that there was nothing inside the body tag. It shouldn't display anything. Let me save this. And now I'll preview. And now you can see my document displays, and it's got an H1 tag in the body of the document, which we don't see here, but was generated via JavaScript. Okay? Now, you might create this example for yourself and want to test it in a browser. Let's do that right now. I'm going to go to my folder here where my files are stored, and this is the example file that we're working on right there. I'm going to open this up with FireFox, and you can see in FireFox I still see my H1 tag, so everything seems to be working in FireFox. You may have, or you may have been successful here, or it may not be working for you, or it might not work in the future. Let's talk about what to do if you have a problem for a moment. Okay, I'm in FireFox here, and I'm going to go to the Tools menu, and I'll choose Error Console. So if your JavaScript has an error, it'll show up on this Error Console, and you can see in FireFox the Error Console displays, all warnings, messages, and clear. So, if I click all, it gives me all sorts of warnings. Like these yellow ones are warnings, and then the pink ones are, I don't know if these blue ones are, blue I guess is security, right? And I don't know where that red one went. There it was. Yeah, there it is. Attempt to run whatever. The red one's an error. Okay. If you just want to filter the list here, you can click errors or warnings or messages, right? I'm going to click on errors here, and you can see that this is an error that we have. If I look over here, it says the source file, so it tells me where the error is located, and you can see that this one's actually located in 3.docs google.com, docs client, whatever. So actually, this error was generated by Google Docs. I must have had Google Docs open a minute ago, and it left an error in here. So that's not our page, so we can ignore this. So my page is working just fine. There's no error. Okay. I'm going to click clear, and that'll clear out any current errors. So that's kind of nice if you're trying to debug your page and there's a lot of old errors left in there. Let's clear them out. Let's test our page again. I'll switch back to the page, and I'll refresh it. You can click the button or do Command R or choose refresh from the view menu. And you can see when I refresh it, it reloads and there's no error. Okay, so everything's working fine. Let's switch back to Coda and introduce an error. Okay, so for example, let's say I left off the parentheses on the end of the document.write function. And then I'll save my page here, and I'll test it in FireFox. So I'll go back here and I'll refresh. And now when I refresh, you can see the page doesn't work correctly, and an error appears in the error console. And if I read the error here, it says missing parentheses after argument list. And then the source file is files, users, Mitchell Hudson desktop, example, whatever, example 3.html. So this is the file that we're working on, and it has an error, and it's telling me basically what the error is. And it tries to tell me that it's on line 8. Okay, you can see the line number here, line 8. Okay, and it's in this file, example3.html, at this location. Let's go back to our file, and in other text editors, there may or may not be options to show line numbers. I know BBEdit does that. Dreamweaver will do that. Coda also does it. I'm going to go to the View menu and choose Show Line Numbers. And when I choose that, you can see the line numbers appear here. And you can see, like, it said line 8, but our error was actually, I would say it was on line 7. But, the error console is pretty close. I'll type my parentheses in there and close it, save it again, and we'll go back to FireFox and test one more time. Oh, everything works, and we didn't generate a new error. Now, the old error stays in the dialog box here, so that can be confusing sometimes. Usually when I'm testing, I try to make sure to clear all the old errors before I refresh to make sure I don't confuse one of the old errors with a current problem. Okay, so there's a quick example on how to write an element into the page with a slightly more complicated JavaScript, how to use the error console in FireFox to check errors in your JavaScript and spot them and try and figure out what they are. Okay, and hopefully you'll find that useful. I find it incredibly useful. I use this error console all the time. Okay,